Here's our director of scouting, Craig Button, to talk about it. The Winnipeg Jets have hit the skids. Just one win in their last 6 games without Connor Hellebuyck between the pipes. And Craig, Hellebuyck could be out for another month. What's your level of concern with this group that they'll be able to overcome Hellebuck's absence?
Jay, we had so much fun talking about the Winnipeg Jets the past season. Even earlier this year, I always had a smile on my face. Not so much now. There's no smiling when it comes to the Winnipeg Jets. And you can talk about Connor Hellebuyck, and yes, he's the MVP of the National Hockey League. We know he's a great goaltender. But the Winnipeg Jets have 2 massive issues. One is the way they play, and one was with player personnel and their second line. I'm going to get into the first part. They go into Buffalo, and you know how you have to play defense. And so what happens right off the bat? Dylan DeMello jumps up at the offensive zone blue line. Penalty. Right off the bat, now you got to go kill a penalty. Now Logan Stanley steps out of the lane, gives open the middle. It's 1-0 just like that. Well, now here's Logan Stanley again. Caught, and here they go again. Back on a rush. Stanley outside the dots. And just like that, it's 2-0. All because of really poor reads. Then again, another rush chance. And now Luke Schen's out against Tage Thompson and Josh Norris. That's a mismatch. 3-0 because of self-inflicted wounds. It was 3-1, Jay. And now the Jets are getting a little bit of momentum. Terrible line change leads to the 4th goal, 4-1. And it was curtains, lights out. And so for the Winnipeg Jets, the first part of their challenge is, it doesn't matter if Connor Hellebuck's in the net or not. The problem is the way they're playing, and they're playing terrible defense. They're making terrible decisions. It had improved a little bit. It was awful on this night in Buffalo, and that's a big issue. Second issue for the Winnipeg Jets is that this is something that can be fixed. And if it doesn't get fixed, it doesn't matter who plays in the net. It's going to continue to cost them.
Craig, the other issue for me is that this team, and you alluded to the fact that we were having so much talking about this team at the beginning of the season, because for the first dozen games of the year, they were leading the league in goals for. Well, since then, they're now near the bottom of the league in goals for, and I can't quite figure it out because that has nothing to do with Connor Hellebuyck. So why are the Jets having so much trouble finding the back of the net, Craig?
I'm going to put the majority of the issue on the second line. And the top line's been great. You know, you look at Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabe Lardy. They've been great. They've carried the scoring for them. The third line with Lowry, no problem there. They're asked to do stuff. But the second line is a massive problem. It's got too much light in their game. You got Cole Perfetti, Nemesnikov. They're light. They're not hard. They're not heavy. They're not fast. Jonathan Toews trying to play the second line role right now. Sorry, not good enough. Not capable of doing it. So now you got the second line that can't push the opponent back, can't establish offensive zone time. They're vulnerable when they're on the ice. They're not scoring. And so that's a big issue. That's a huge issue. And that's a player personnel issue. If you're going to continue on with a second line like that, you're going to continue to have the same problems. So Scott Arniel has to impress upon the team how to play better defensively because they know how to do that. They just haven't done it well enough over the last stretch of time. And Kevin Cheveldayoff, he's going to have to look at a second line because the second line right now, no way. That is not going to get you success. Too much of a burden on the top line. And when you have too much of a burden on the top line, easy for opponents to check you, zero in on you, because nothing is going to scare you after that. So those are the big issues that I see with the Winnipeg Jets at this point in time.
Can they get those issues fixed in time for their next matchup against the only Canadian team in a playoff position? That'll be the Montreal Canadiens. That's who the Jets face on Wednesday night. Craig will be back a little later in the show to talk Canadian Olympic goaltenders, one of my favorite subjects. That's later on this edition of SportsCenter.